Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Big roster drama continuing to go down and unexpected stuff at that. Over the last few days, it's been chaos around the world of the VCT and it continues last night. FURIA, they will be forced to make a change, a very unfortunate set of circumstances for them. Which player might come in instead? There have been some serious rumours about it on the match over the last day, also some big drama hitting the timeline as well. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Before we begin, or as we begin really, let's just get into this. BLG released a nice little stage 1 video promotion for the start of VCT China because, well, today is the 12th. Tomorrow, the 13th, everything officially gets underway. So BLG are pretty excited to get going, of course. Like Edward Gaming, they looked so good for a time at Masters Bangkok to maybe win the entire thing. That, of course, didn't happen in the end. Trace Esports, they'll be pretty gutted the way that they played, given that in region, they looked super solid. They turned up to Bangkok, it didn't really go to plan. You know, BLG keeping things lighthearted, keeping things entertaining. You know, are they going to be able to deliver results? I guess time will tell. This as well, a couple of interesting results here in the North American Challenges. So we saw, controversially in some respects, it was the new Envy team, or Rankers. They went down yesterday, and SR Black, they took down Blue Otter. Now, this was a notable story, mainly because Mwzera absolutely fried. Now, if you guys may remember, a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, whatever it was, Jake, formerly Cloud9 Jake, was commenting on SRB making the decision that they made to sign up Mwzera. He was, you know, he believed it was effectively like a nepotism pick, and he wasn't very happy that they hadn't trialed the likes of Physic and the likes of Stella and a couple of other guys that he got along with quite well. So there was a lot of tweets about that. There was tweets back and forth saying, you know, Jake was saying it's a bit of a joke the way that they handled this. Other players were saying, oh, well, you know, just because your nepotism didn't like happen, then why are you mad about it? And it was all going on. And just a notable series because Mwzera, as the in-game leader, put on a generational performance on the breach, dropping, you know, a 1.67 rating on VLR with great cast and great numbers really across the board in total to win his team the series. So, you know, we'll see how it goes, but it's certainly been a talking point, right? Because it's not clear exactly that having somebody else instead of Mwzera would have been better for their results and their performance in this particular series. They dominated the defensive side of the split. They eventually got the job done 13-6, and the Fracture was crushing. The same story really, 13-3. Blue Otter absolutely slammed, and yeah, that was GG for them. So they're down to the losers bracket. The other game was TSM Winthrop. Now this was actually a really big deal, I thought, for TSM because, well, on paper their team has been looking pretty nice, but Winthrop come in and they get the job done. Very interesting team they've put together this season, but with GMD, Vora, obviously Sevens here with Sim and Recoil. It's been a mixed bag, to say the very least, for TSM lately, and they go down in 3. They lost the Pearl 13-10. They won their map pick 13-6, but on the Haven, on the decider, they had a nice attacking start. They won the first half 7-5 before then losing in the second half. So, you know, big result really, and that now leaves the standings as follows in the playoffs, right, here in the Challengers League for the first stage. It's M80 SR Black in the upper semi-finals. It's Cuba versus Winthrop in the upper semi-finals. And then the lower semi-finals, the elimination games coming up is going to be, okay, so Envy play Blue Otter in their game, and then TSM play QR. So I think it was the other way around than what I thought it might be. But yeah, still, it's a pretty big couple of series coming up there. And of course, if Envy want to win the whole thing, that's the Rankers team with Inspire and those guys. They will have to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series if they want to get the entire job done. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, speaking of the Ascension side as well, there was a bit of talk about this. So, of course, it's a couple of months in, and as it stands, there aren't any capsules for the Ascension teams. So, you know, bundles, capsules, whatever. So there was a bit of talk about this. Leah FURIA recently said they've made more than half the money with 2025 team bundles than 2024 bundles, and 2024 Champs bundle combined. This is killing Tier 2 and only making it less and less worth it for organisations to invest. Now, Bill Pan says here from Riot, we'd love to get the Ascension's winner bundles out to players sooner, but skins take a long time to make, and we couldn't crown Ascension winners until late last year. While team bundles do sell well, the new VCT Karambits are a big part of why we've generated 25 million much faster than last year, and that revenue is most definitely shared with Ascension teams. So, yeah, it's not like the Ascension teams don't get the money here, like the guest teams, right? The teams that actually made it and qualified. They do get their cash through this type of, you know, format, but they've not got their own bundle. I do think this is an excuse excuse, really, right? Like, you know, let's be honest. Ascension, the winners were crowned late last year, sure. But, like, that was, like, 4, 5, 6 months ago. Like, surely the idea of, oh, it takes a long time to make the skins. Okay, sure, I get it, right? Like, obviously, there is a lead time on this. But in my opinion, if they really wanted to do it, they could have done it. That's my take. But it's not necessarily the end of the world for the Ascension teams, because as he says, they certainly still get revenue. But some people want to support their own team with a bundle, but right now that's not really possible. Bit of drama as well continuing to unfold here from Derke. We know that he's been giving his thoughts over the last few days about the state of Valorant really in general. It's now been 2 years since Gecko has been in the game as well, so that was talked about yesterday. And Derke, of course, continued to double down on some of the issues, right? Because Derke and Safe and some others have kind of raised this question that they feel like the game is too utility heavy now compared to just pure gunfire. And look, I understand why people are going to say, well, you know, you're a pro player, like get used to it really. I do get that. But also, the game that, you know, we play from a lower ceiling level, let's say, that's not in pro play, it is, you know, a less chaotic game than what you see on the pros stream. Because as Pansy says, I'm sure little Timmy in bronze, it's not that bad, but playing perma retake is a bit annoying. And Pansy says seeing fans go mental on pro players, saying the utility in Valorant is getting too strong is wild to me. And Derke, of course, is commenting on it as well. He did some more tweets on the matter as well, if this one wants to load. So, you know, he was just talking about all the different captions and stuff in the game, and he gave some further comments on the matter as well. But the big development really of yesterday was around more roster drama happening. So we saw Gen.G, they released Yaman from their roster. We're not exactly sure as it stands who they're going to get in instead. But FURIA, after a very difficult start to the season, they have been forced to make a change. Now, it's not like they were looking great anyway, but Mwzera on paper, one of their stronger players, and they confirmed yesterday in an official communication for health reasons, Mwzera will temporarily step away from the main squad and will be integrated into the substitute squad. FURIA will be by his side, offering all the necessary support during the period. We're immensely grateful for his dedication from the beginning and ask for your understanding and respect for him at this time. Training for the VCT Americas will continue as scheduled at maximum intensity, and the replacement athletes will be announced shortly. So, yeah, feel awful for Mwzera, because as he describes in his own tweet, unfortunately, I won't be able to play in this split of the Americas due to health reasons. It is serious, he says. So, yeah, you know, wishing him the best, right? It's not my choice to step away, rather a doctor's order. As soon as my doctor releases me to do live streams, which is pretty crazy to the extent that, you know, whatever he's suffering with is bad enough that he's not, you know, he can't even live stream from home and stuff. So, you know, yeah, I guess he just needs to rest up. I'm not sure. Wishing him the best. Play or return to competition. I'll try and explain everything that's happened properly. So, you know, he's not even got the permission to turn the live stream on, which definitely implies that it's, you know, because some players have suffered with, you know, fatigue and stuff, right? So maybe they can stream for a couple of hours, but actually playing and committing to the team is more of a challenge. But no, apparently it's to such an extent that he doesn't even, you know, have the permission to do that from the doctor. Wish the boys the best. They can have fun in the next stage, rooting for them an awful lot. We're not really sure who this is going to be, you know, in terms of a replacement, right? Like what they're going to plan for this point. Derke, of course, says wishing him a fast recovery. There has been some discussions on the options here, right? So Juan hits the VLR last night and says, sources I trust have told me that FURIA have made a strong approach for basic from the 2G Academy. The talks advanced quite a bit, but as of this post, that's how it's going to stay. They're also in discussions with Prize, but there'd be a buyout involved there. The other options, of course, are players that have recently been released elsewhere in the region. So Nozwa, of course, and also Natank, who are potentially options. Nozwa, I mean, okay, Natank's probably less likely, right? Because, you know, French player, right? Maybe communication concerns. But Nozwa, after some of the recent drama on MIBR, that maybe is a possibility. Natank, of course, recently removed from Leviathan. So, yeah, very interesting. Now, they do have an academy team, but apparently due to visa considerations, they're not really considering that so much right now. So, we'll see, but that's how things presently look. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
I don't want to sit here. I don't want to talk about every drama and controversy. I also don't have very strong opinions on everything.
How did he get 2?
But my opinion on that podcast stuff is that like the double down was unnecessary from like the whole community. I feel like the double down was so unnecessary.
Enjoy your C site.
And then
we're going A.
I feel like Zelsis just like made an emotional tweet after apologizing, which I do believe it being genuine in that,
Come on,
like,
Knights, make me proud.
he doesn't think he should have said it.
What was that angle?
What else?
There
It's
you go.
not
Thank
that
you,
deep.
Dapper, for that time. Dapper was off on his timeouts on game 1.
Yeah, it's like one of those words you shouldn't really use that I know that people might use.
We love overtime.
It just shouldn't have been out on the podcast, I guess,
love
at the end of the day.
overtime.
I just didn't like that the
we got the
community.
first
I just
three
didn't like
kills
that the
there?
community doubled down on it, because that was just unnecessary. I'm not gonna get canceled. Just say what you think. I already said what I think. I don't personally use that word, but yeah, people do use that word. I feel like, honestly, I could be wrong about it, but I feel like people outside of US use it more than in US. Also, I don't think the way that Zelsa is using it, he's not trying to be derogative. He's just trying to use it as a replacement for another word, and it's like, it's just not the right word to use it as a replacement. That's like the gist of it all, though. He's not trying to like talk down on anyone with any like disability or anything. He's just using a word as a replacement for another word. It's just not the right word to use. That's what it is.
Ooh, we have no money left.
Yeah, it's not a great thing to say, but it's not the end of the world. I think that's like a way to look at it. Yeah, he wasn't trying to use it in an offensive way. Yeah, that's why I think like it got blown out of proportion a lot. But I think the doubling down was the problem. Why is everyone like
oh no!
But yeah, it's honestly just blown out of proportion for no reason. 2 is crazy with the paranoia.